Greetings and welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're here Monday night with another look back at a classic rock album. The album I've chose for tonight's show is Stormwatch. Sorry, let's see if I can get up close so you can see it. Stormwatch by Jethro Tull. Yeah. This is a great studio album. It's been in my playlist now longer than 5 months. For a while, for about 5 or 6 weeks there, it was probably my favorite album. It's been replaced by Uriah Heep's Chaos and Color now, but definitely a great album. I was really quite pleased when I heard this because I'm a big fan of Songs from the Wood, as people know, and this album came out during that same period of time. Like, there's 3 of them. This one, Heavy Horses, and Heavy Horses is now in my playlist as well. So yeah, so excellent album. This was released September the 14th, 1979. Recorded at Mason Rogue Studio, Townhouse Studio, Morgan Studio, and Mason Rogue Mobile in London, UK. It's about 45 minutes in length, a little bit longer, 46 minutes in length with a remix. On the Chrysalis label, yep, definitely on the Chrysalis label, and produced by none other than Ian Anderson and Robin Black. So an excellent album. Probably my favorite group of musicians that played in Jethro Tull, this era of their albums, Songs from the Wood, Heavy Horses, and this album, and I think maybe 1 or 2 of the previous ones, like Minstrel and the Gallery, possibly. I don't know. I'd have to go look. So it has 10 tracks on it. This particular version of it has an additional 4 bonus track: Stitch in Time, Crossword, Kelpie, and King Henry's Mad Rigel, which are all really good as well. But we're only going to talk about the original album. Okay, appearing on this, of course, Ian Anderson on vocals, flute, acoustic guitar, and bass on some of the tracks as well. Martin Barr on electric guitar, classical, and mandolin. John Glasscock, of course, on bass on almost all the original tracks and some of the extra ones as well. John Evan on piano and organ. D. Palmer or David Palmer on synth, portable organ, orchestral arrangements as well, and Barrymore Barlow on drums and percussion. So yeah, these are amongst my favorite, this group of Jethro Tull musicians here. Also, additional people on the album: Francis Wilson doing the spoken word on tracks 1 and 8, and David Pegg also played bass on 14th track, which we won't be discussing because it's not part of the original album. Okay, so there are, like I said, 10 tracks on this album. I'm just going to put it down for now. And we're just going to, first of all, the overall feel of this album, very similar to Songs from the Wood. This is a bit clearer sounding album, I think. A little bit more of that keyboard synthesizer sound, because I believe this album has, because it has D. Palmer, I don't think he was on Songs from the Wood. If he did, he wasn't doing as much. That album has a little bit more of a folky sound to it. This, not as much of that sound, but still quite good. Both of them are fairly heavy albums. This one is absolutely killer on some of the catchy parts of the song. This album isn't. This album has more of a discrepancy between the songs I like a lot and the ones I don't like as much. But it's not a great discrepancy. It's just a little bit more, I think. I think Ian Anderson's voice is fantastic on this album. He's very kind of doing his folky sounding voice a lot. Really good high range and low range, a mixture of bluesy sounding parts to his voice as well. I think the guitar and the bass are really strong at times, really strong. You know, you got Martin Barr and John Glasscock, two really good musicians, and Barry Barlow doing his drum parts, fills and stuff, but also a couple of spots where he actually kind of goes off a little bit. He's not one much for solos. He does do them, but I don't think he's much for them. Kind of like Keith Moon a bit, who didn't like that as well. So anyways, we have some excellent tunes here. I'm just going to go over them a little bit. So it starts out with the North Sea Oil. This is a fast-paced guitar flute dominated song with a fantastic heavy guitar solo in it. And I like this song quite a bit. Pretty strong opening for me. The next one out is called Orion. Sorry, got a little bit of a cough here. I guess I should drink before I start going too far. Yeah, Orion. This is a heavy melodic song. Pretty heavy. Anderson's voice is very emotional on this particular tune, and there's a lot of a kind of a symphonic kind of background going on here as well. Another good tune, one of the better tunes I think on the album. Next tune up is Home. This is a bit more subdued. Some very nice acoustic guitar here. The vocals are strong but electric at the same time. So he's kind of trying to bite the bit almost here. And the violin gives it that kind of folky feel too as well. So if we're going to flip over and do the remaining songs here. So Dark Ages is the next song. Probably one of my two favorite tracks on the album. This one has a kind of a very folkish story-like telling going on here. Vocals are strong. This is punctuated with a lot of heavy parts. So it's got some quieter, more subdued parts, but some real heavy stuff going on here too. I think the wind and the piano part on here really kind of add an element of progginess to the music as well. The guitar solo is absolutely heavy and sharp and really well done. And the riffing, strong riffing, catchy as hell. I think this is one of the catchiest songs on the album. Really kind of pumps your blood. I think this is one of the stronger songs for the bass as well. Bass is pretty strong on this, and the drums are outstanding here on this track. That's why I think this is probably my favorite, or one of my two favorite songs on the album, is because the instrumentation is really good and the drums and the bass are pretty dominant as well. Okay, then it kind of drops a little bit for Warm's Sporan. I think this is an instrumental, pretty instrumental song. There's no vocals on it, so it's an instrumental. Bass opening is really good. Some catchy flute here. One of the strongest bass tracks on the album. This guy is very underrated as a bass player, I think. I think he's the best one that Tull has ever had. Something on the Move, which is the next track. This is the other track. I probably like this one a little bit more. I don't think it's as catchy in some ways, but overall it's really strong. Very strong opening with the guitar and the bass, and really catchy. I don't know if it's quite as catchy as the Dark Ages, but it's really good nevertheless. Vocals are strong, very forward. He's singing out front really strongly. This particular track has that Hunting Girl kind of feel to it as well. It's almost like they're marching along at a half-fast pace here. Yeah, really quick. The flute solo is killer. Maybe the best on the album. One of his best, I think, period. So for me, I gave this song a 9.5. I think this particular track is probably the best on the album, but it's pretty close. The next one is Old Ghost, another pretty strong vocal song here. Just typical Anderson sounding voice going on here, just really good. Catchy tune, I think. A little bit of so he's got this kind of a nice piano part with the synthesizer and the atmospheric background to the song. And again, both of the guitar and the bass are super strong here. throughout the whole album, probably the two most dominant instruments is the guitar, the electric guitar, and the bass here, really strong. Then you got Don Rigel, slow, folky bit, some nice acoustic guitar. This is a much quieter, more subdued song, not too bad though. Then you got the Flying Dutchman, heavy guitar bit, and slow melodic guitar, piano, and vocals throughout this whole track. Kind of got this kind of bluesy melodic sound to it as well. For some reason, I thought I would like this particular track more because I had heard of it before, but I didn't. This was one of the weaker tracks on the album, at least in my opinion it was. And then it ends off with Elegy, an instrumental, which is basically acoustic guitar, some organ and synthesizer, and the flute. The three of them creating a kind of almost medieval kind of folky sound to it. Yeah, excellent album. I think this will end up being one of my favorite Tull albums eventually. It's still fairly new. I've only been listening to it for maybe 5 months. I've had it for a while longer than that, and listened to it a couple times before I put it in the playlist. So it'll be hanging out for a while yet before it goes. But really, definitely was really happy to hear it because I loved Songs from the Wood, and it was just, a little bit burned out, so it's nice to have something that's very kind of similar in a lot of ways. And I think Heavy Horses is even more similar, so I'm looking forward to that as well. So anyways, there you go. Jethro Tull's Storm Watch. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe. Any comments about the album or anything I've said, you can put that in the comments section below. Don't forget the notification bell. And we will be back next Monday with another look back at another classic rock album. So have yourself a good night and take care.